Brewmaster Bruns here. We got the bFan today. The bFan is an improvement to a popular product called the bFan. So let's open it, see what it's like, compare it to the actual bFan, and we'll go from there. So you've got this piece, which is what directs the air out of the bFan into your sheets. And this other box here should be the actual fan. So inside this box we have another box, always good. This is the real star of the show here. This is essentially what makes the bFan the bFan. So here, this is the upgraded motor, and when you attach this guy to it, it'll go on under your sheets, and pretty excited. So let's turn this bad boy on and see how it sounds. So you get everything said and done. You've got your remote here, plugs into the top there. Everything on the bFan is wired. Take that as you will. I kind of prefer it, so this way, like, I always can find the remote. I just have it in my bed, and if I can't find it, then just reach, find the cord, pull it up. As opposed to wireless, like an app or something, it's just kind of a hassle. It's just very simple, just a very simple remote, just a little dial. And then you take this guy, and you'll notice that the base has this Velcro material on the side, two of these clips. So what you do is you want to line up where you want these to go, and then you put them on, so when you slide it on, the bottom part here catches, and so that way you have a very adjustable system. I'm just going to put mine at the bottom. And the first thing I'm noticing here is that the bFan, unlike the bFan, has this little out dent here, so that you know this is the bottom. bFan does not have that. Don't really think that's an issue that I've run into much. So you just slide this on over the clips, and there you go. You've got a bFan. So the next thing here is we should take this bFan, compare it to the bFan to see if it's worth upgrading from one to the other. I love my bFan, but this bFan seems a good bit stronger, seems like it could be a little quieter. So let's do a quick comparison on the two, see what makes them work. I thought before we actually got into a comparison of the two, this is my bFan. The first difference you'll notice between the two without me really comparing them is this one is black. There's no color options, so bFan's black, bFan is white. So here we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to turn it on like 0%, I guess like 1%. And that one sounds like it's louder than the bFan. We get 25%. And these sound kind of like computer fans, actually. And then 50%. That's almost as loud as like the bFan 75, I think. And then we're gonna crank it to 100. Fully crank the bFan here. What you can't see is I have a plant behind the camera, and just hardly scientific here, but I think the bFan got more at 75% than the bFan did at 100. So, anecdotal. Next thing I thought, actually compare the two. So let's bring the bFan back. So if you remember, the bFan has this nice large base, and you actually plug the power brick in to this little slot right here. The bFan, it's quite a bit smaller from a profile view. So the fans in here, you can actually see the fans in the bFan, and they're just a little like muffin fans, kind of like your computer fan, which is what I was saying earlier. Whereas this, like I said, is one of those like turbine type fans in the bFan. So this should, according to the website, gives you like a higher static pressure. It gives you all kinds of things that should make it a stronger fan. And from my quick test, just turning the two on, that seems to be true. You can see the side here. on the bed fan, there is no indent for the clips. So I've actually been using this bed fan a little lower than I guess I should be for my bed. You can see here that the bFan has more than twice, I believe, the base size of the bed fan. So obviously it's going to be much more stable. Also, it's reversible, so I mean, I guess they both are, but if you want it to, for whatever reason, if this doesn't fit under your headboard, you can flip it around so the flat side is like this, and just flip the top so it faces the other way, giving you a little bit more room. Next, I think cords are very important. Obviously, both of these are fully corded. There's no wireless component to any of them. The same wall outlet is holding the bed fan and the bFan, and you can see over here, this is as far as I can stretch the remote for the bed fan. This is because the power brick for the bed fan is what actually plugs in, so it's a larger rectangular plug. It's a larger plug, and you can see you have two cords coming out of here. The first cord reaches through, and this is the longer cord because this is the cord that goes straight into the bed fan, and you cannot remove it. It does not like unplug or anything. And you can see here, this is the remote. This is the cord. So here we have the remote. So we'll go from tip to tail of this remote to see about 65 inches. So if you want to use the bed fan, you have to have a way that you can set it up so that the plug is 5.5 feet away, or a little less than 5.5 feet away from where you want the remote. The remote for the plug itself can be further because it's longer, but the problem is you can't use the remote then. So they're two different lengths, but they come out of the same side. So from the power brick to the fan itself, you've got about 130 inches. So you've got a little over 11 feet. The bFan though, like I showed earlier, it has a plug that plugs into the front, so it is removable, which is nice. And I will check the cord lengths in 1 second here. So here with the bFan, got a little different approach. The plug that goes into the wall is your standard plug, and it's got a connector to the power brick. So already you're working with some length here. The length on this guy here, 55 inches. So you're already sitting at 5 feet, almost the same length as just the remote for the bed fan, but this is just to connect to the power brick, which has its own two cords. So it's got the same system. It's got the two cords running off of it. The cord to the remote is actually a little longer than the bed fan. So this way, you're looking at, you have about 11 feet on just the remote. So this way, you've got more room. You've got 11 feet, so you've got the whole distance for the bed fan and the bFan. And the bFan has a longer cord. This one you've got about 17 feet. So 17 feet. Before we get into like how it performs in a bed, let's do a side-by-side sound comparison test. I kind of like my bed fan because it works as like a white noise machine. I've grown rather used to it. This does make its own little bit of noise, but we'll see how the two compare directly in terms of noise at different sound levels. Two remotes here. Got this one for the bFan, got this one all the way over here for the bed fan. It's kind of hard because they're just like dial remotes. They don't really have any markings on them. I try to move them both the same and see how the noise compares. So first, since the bFan is supposed to be quieter, we'll always start with the bFan, ramp it up, and then see if the bed fan is louder or not. So this is barely on for the bFan, barely on for the bed fan. And this one has more of a sound, whereas this is kind of like a whisper, sort of like you'd hear from like your vents in your house. So now we're going to go up to about 25% slowly, and I don't really hear much difference coming from the bFan. Now we're going to do up to 25 slowly on the bed fan here. We're hearing a little bit of a higher pitch. So now we're going to go further up to 50 on the bFan. Okay, now this is picked up a little bit. We're going to cut down on this. You might be able to hear that. But 50% on the bed fan sounds like this. So this fan is definitely a lot louder. up to 75 on bFan. And that's when you start to hear that kick in. So between 50 and 75 is when the noise really starts to kick in. It seems to kick in between 25 and 50 on the bFan. And after this point, they're both going to get louder, but that's sort of like the point of inflection here. So 75% on the bFan. And now we're going to kick it to 100 on here. So that's where you've got your jet engine sound versus 100% on the bFan. Just bFan. Just bFan. So definitely, you can hear a lot more noise out of this one. Next thing to do is just test it in a bed. We're gonna see how does it feel? How does each one perform? And we'll see where I go from there. Definitely so far though, I'm thinking that the bFan is a very nice upgrade to the bFan in terms of stability. If you touch this, it's gonna fall over this. It's got some rock on the back. Obviously that's the less stable part, but I'd say going backwards, it's a little more stable than this bFan going forwards. Yeah. But most people have a footboard on their bed, so I'm not sure if that's a huge issue, especially since you have to tuck it into your sheet, but it could be. I had the problem, but I'm also very terrible at putting my sheets, tucking them in. So now we're going to take each one, we're going to test them on bed, see how it works. Alright, so here we just have very simple setup. My bFan is tucked in, you can see it sticking out right there. All we're going to do is we're going to turn it on. This is going to be 0%. You can see it makes a nice cushion of air. This is moving the air through, and as it gets more and more, so this is the air moving through your body. Right now it's strapped because I have the pillows on top, and the pillows are sort of acting as like your body. When I sleep, I kind of put my arms to the side and trap the air, so that's kind of simulating how I sleep. Otherwise, I would just go out the front. So now we're going to kick it up. This is like the 1%. Now we're going to kick it to 25. I usually sleep with it just like this, unless it's kind of like a hot night or something, or I haven't tucked it in properly, so I'm not getting the kind of air I want. But usually I sleep with it just like this. But here's 25%. You can see it kicks up a little more, goes a little further. Starting to get some ripples back here. 50%. You get the noise, you can see a lot of the rippling right where it comes out. And then 100%, everything should be like this, except it'll be a little noisy. So you can see that I got the nice big bubble of air. It feels really good. Only problem is it's a little too loud to sleep on like this. So now we're just gonna do this again, this time with the bFan. Alright, so this time we replaced the bFan with the bFan. You can see the bFan's over here. Funny anecdote, it was a little harder to get this under my bed because if you flip the bFan on its side, it's a little wider. So while it fits under my bed with the larger base, it doesn't fit under the lowest part because at its thickest it bulges out a little bit. So you might have to lift your bed instead of just slide it under. But here we go. Let's take it to the 1%. Alright, 1%. Little bubble popping up. It's always a little slow at first because you have no air because it's all escaped. So you're going to kind of have to build up a little bit. Now we're going to kick it to 25. So you've got some ripples in this bubble up here. 50. 50's kicking it up. So right here, you can see it's not really moving. I'm going to say that's because I have it tied too tight and with the pillow on top. So you want there to be some sheet, like a sheet allowance in front of this so that it can not have this, it won't be pulled taut, because you want there to be room for the sheet to rise up for the air, otherwise you're not really doing anything. So let me fix that real quick, and you should get a better view of what it looks like. Very simple. Once you fix that small issue, I gave it room. So this is, I believe, 50%, and we're gonna kick it to 75. That's when you start to hear the noise. You can really see the action going through, and then we'll kick it all the way up to 100%. We'll fully crank the fan. It's not as loud as I thought it would be. Just as a test, we're gonna take the pillow off the front and see what happens. So you can see all the rippling is because all the air is leaving through the front. You let everything out, and in seconds, it's already back up. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna sleep with this a few days. I'm gonna figure out how it feels, if anything's different, like what the big improvements are, if there's better, like if the air feels better, if the noise is like an issue, just things that I will be able to tell when I'm asleep better than doing it in a test like this, because I've slept with the bed fan now since Christmas of 2017, so I've had a lot of experience with it. Naturally, if I stop and move to something else, then I should really easily be able to notice it. So I'll sleep with it a few days, and then we'll come back, give final thoughts on it. I've been trying out the bFan now for about 2 weeks. So in those 2 weeks, I think the most important thing to know is the temperature at night fluctuated. The highest night was about 84 degrees, and the coldest night was about 60. So to go with that, I took my handy dandy laser thermometer here, and I wanted to give some scientific data on how well the bFan performed. So on the night when it was 85 degrees outside, my room, the ceiling of my room, since I figured that was the best way, the ceiling in the center of my room was 78.8 degrees. I laid in my bed for 20 minutes, bFan off. The temperature when I got out and I was showing the laser at it said it was 86.5. So 8 degrees roughly warmer. And then I turned the bFan on. Just the act of turning the bFan on made the spot not even very high or anything. Took it down to 83 degrees. So that's only like 5 degrees. So you've already lost 3 degrees for doing basically nothing. Once you turned it up to 50%, roughly, on the dial, got down to roughly 80 degrees. So another 3. Big difference. And I think part of this is because of the way that I measured it, being under my body. You're going to hit a limit where, you can't blow away my body heat as I produce it. If you turn up to 100%, you only got down to like 79.8. So really, there's a degree there that you can't get rid of, and that degree was basically no different between 50 and 100%. I did the same test on the 60 degree night, pretty much the same results. My room was a little colder, but it basically stood. You lose about 2.5 to 3.5, depending on how much you move and all that, degrees just for turning it on. And then by the time you get to 100%, you're basically hitting neutral temperature. I found in my testing that the bFan is much stronger than the bed fan. No question asked at all, really. It's a stronger fan, but the funny thing is it's quieter and stronger. There are some nights with the bed fan where I would be sort of hot, but I wouldn't want to turn it up because of the noise factor. And those nights essentially don't exist anymore because of the bFan. Not only is it stronger, so you don't need to turn it up as high, but I've also found that it's quieter, so if you need to turn it up higher, you hardly notice it. I still sleep with it around like 10%-ish, but on the night when it was like 80 degrees outside, I found that it was super nice to turn up to like 50%, and I didn't even have a problem with that at all. But with the bFan, since you put it at the foot of your bed and it's designed to go there, you can run it at 100%, and it feels like an actual full-size fan is running under your covers, and it just feels insane. Having tried both, if you gave me the choice, keep your bed fan or upgrade to the bFan, I would totally upgrade to the bFan. Bed fan's nice, bed fan's great. I had it for 6 months, I loved it. My sister has it now, she loved it. But you can't really go buy a bed fan anymore because they've upgraded to the bFan. You might think, I already have a bed fan, I don't need a bFan. You might be right. if you have it and you like your setup, and you see nothing wrong, it might be a little much to ask for $150 for the bFan. But if you have the $150, I totally recommend getting a bFan. If you have nothing, and you think, hey, it's summer, I get kind of hot at night, you might want to try a bFan. If you think, hey, I like to try the coolest new thing in sleep, you spend a third of your life sleeping, right? I spend a lot of time in this chair, so I made sure I have a nice chair. I spend a lot of time in bed. I have a nice mattress topper, I have nice pillows, I have a bFan. If you're interested in checking out a bFan, I've got two websites. You can go to bfan.world or bedfan.com. The owner, Kurt, super nice guy. Emailed back and forth with him any questions I had. He seemed to be very responsive. Overall, I think you should grab one. I'm Brewmaster Bruns. Sleep well.